The other probably biggest and most recent news we have is we had the Xbox Developer Direct for I guess we'll say for the spring. I mean, their pattern now is they have this Developer Direct in the beginning of the year, and then they have their E3 show or E3 time show. So, but this turned out to be very strong. They had. So we already knew that the titles are going to show is Doom. They're going to show South of Midnight. They're going to show Clair Obscura. The fourth title, which I kind of like guessed ahead of time.
I never would have guessed that.
You never would have guessed it?
No.
Okay. I kind of was like, well, they have a history with this developer. They
do, but
so,
I never would have guessed it is what it was.
But the surprise for me wasn't what it was who they've teamed up with to make it. So the surprise game is Ninja Gaiden 4. Which is cool.
Crazy.
It's a franchise that's been on ice for a decade or so. But the surprise for me was that it is co-developed with Team Ninja and Platinum Games.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, I looked into it earlier today. It's specifically the team that worked on Metal Gear Revengeance.
Yeah, which is an action sword game.
The team that you want.
Cut this thing into a million pieces.
Makes me more interested in the game because I've played. I don't think I ever played Ninja Gaiden 3, but I played 1 and 2. Like I like them, but I've always liked Platinum action games more. So this makes me more excited for, and if you, I don't know if you watched the trailer for it, but they're introducing like a new ninja.
Yeah, I watched the whole directing.
Hayabusa's there as well. So it looks cool.
And they said, and they gave a little wink. There's like, maybe there's other people too.
Yeah, so, right.
That means Ayana's coming back. Probably Rachel.
It is for sure. Yeah. I mean, I saw the Team Ninja logo and I thought maybe it's time. Maybe we're doing DOA 7.
I knew it wasn't. I didn't. But
I knew it wasn't.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't. Like, we're not.
Maybe
if this game sells.
Buy this game and we'll get DOA 7.
Maybe.
There you go. That's what I want the guy to say. Buy this if you want DOA 7. And then they did a shadow drop of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black Edition, cool. Which is out on Game Pass now. I think you can buy it digitally on the PlayStation.
You can, and
then there's a physical version
PS5
only for PS5. Yeah,
fucked up.
But they remade the game in Unreal 5. Yeah, that's my understanding. So that looks pretty cool.
It looks amazing.
At some point, I'll look at it on Game Pass.
Those are the original.
I played a lot of the second one. I think that's
1 and 2 are like the original. Like, you think Demon Souls and Dark Souls shit is hard? those are the original. Like,
that first game is very hard.
Is a piece of shit at some point.
Yeah, it is. It is. But yeah, so that was the surprise, and it was funny because they led with that. Like usually they'll wait and be like, okay, here's our last.
Well, because last time the secret was Visions of Mana, and it was like, okay. It's a cool thing for you to show, but it wasn't the first thing they did.
I think also at this time they knew that they had strength in having Doom there, and so that's why they.
Well, I also think that they knew that this was a banger surprise.
It's a banger surprise to open,
right.
And then they knew they had the strength of Doom. So, like I said, they showed South of Midnight. I will try it. I think it looks like a very interesting game. The only thing that doesn't sell me on that game that I have an issue with is because they use a lot of stop motion.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I have that problem of like, I know that it's not the game engine is broken, but it gives my eyes like a weird, it's weird.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And I watched that whole part of it, and I'll just be honest. Like, I kind of thought to myself, like, I don't think that game's going to make it. I just have a feeling like I don't feel like that game's going to do it, man.
I will say this. I think if that game was not going to be on Game Pass, I don't think it would have a chance at all.
Doomed.
Like,
I don't think at least some people will play it, but like, just the way they were talking about it, and like the Deep South, and we're basing these creatures on legends, and she's got sewing tools. You have to unwrap. I'm like, it feels like too much for something that's new.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, what they have going for them is they made 2 other games that were interesting, at least. So this one can have that interesting factor, but
and they've been working on this for a while.
Yeah, I worry that this is the kind of game where
it's going to get lost in the shuffle.
It's going to get lost, but it's too big for what it should be.
Yeah,
there's 4 different things, and you've got to unlock all these powers. It's like there's so many games out there like this, like not like exactly like this, but like the feeling of this game where progress through this area and do this thing and unlock these abilities. Like I'm telling, as someone who's played a lot of Forspoken and still hasn't finished it,
it's giving you those Forspoken vibes.
And I'm not getting the vibes from the story. I'm getting it from gameplay and leveling up and the idea of we're going to these 4 different areas. Oh, gee, I have to do that in that game. And you unlock these abilities. Oh, gee, I have to do that in this game. And it's just there's a feeling of that.
Yeah.
And, Forspoken's bad for a multitude of other reasons that I don't predict this game will be bad for. But
I hope this game's a little more polished than that.
And this game actually seems complete.
Because they showed that. They showed Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which still continues to look like a really, really cool RPG.
I love the idea of the story.
The story idea is really cool. That's what drew me into it.
Yeah.
So that game continues to look cool. As we mentioned before, like, even though it's going to be on Game Pass, it is a $50 physical game, which is kind of crazy. Because it looks like I mean, I could be wrong, but it looks like it will be a fairly lengthy RPG.
It does. I normally don't really give a shit about these like developer directs. Like, we're walking around our little villa.
I don't care.
And watch me look up to the camera. And I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. But it was interesting to hear about, like, this guy was like, I decided I was going to make a game. And then I got this far and I called my buddy. My buddy's like, I can help you do that. And then this guy's like, I got this other friend. So it was kind of cool to see that. And I'm like, these people are like, oh yeah, like he called me up and like, there's like 12 of them hanging out in this house in France just making this game. It's like, that's pretty cool.
And then they ended with what I would argue is the strongest game here, which is Doom Dark Ages. And that was the one that I was interested in seeing all the talk and everything about what they've done here. The thing that's most refreshing to me about Doom Dark Ages is the one thing I didn't like about Eternal is Doom 2016 had a really good combat loop to it. They tried to add too much stuff in Eternal, and they tried to give that game a verticality that doesn't work for Doom. So there would be times, and the best way I can describe it is like, imagine playing Sonic the Hedgehog when you're running really fast and then it gets knocked by something and you kind of, then you have to walk normally. That's how Doom Eternal would feel at times, like if you get knocked out of something because of the verticality. So the first thing that they kind of address right away in that direct is like, hey, this game is grounded. We're not doing any of that verticality stuff. You are meant to stand and fight, which is really cool. Obviously, they showed off all the new weapons. There's 3 different melee weapons you have at all times in this game, which is absurd. They have completely rehauled the glory kill thing. So now instead of being positioned on like a specific part of the like demon's body or whatever, it just can happen wherever, which is pretty cool. And I think that a lot of that had to do with the technology they were using at the time, just didn't have that. The game looks massive. There are like huge maps that you can actually explore this time. And you've seen a little bit of that in the trailers and stuff, but the big news here is it's out May 15th. And I feel like after everything that I saw at that thing yesterday, it's ready for May 15th. I'd be shocked if it got delayed.
Yeah, I don't think it will be.
It seems like they're just cleaning it up. They also, for this one, they completely cut multiplayer to just focus on the single player, which I think is the smart move because they did a multiplayer mode in the 2016 that I actually really liked. And then 2020, they tried to do this weird hybrid thing that just didn't work. So I think the smart move here is to just make it a single player experience. The other big news coming out of the direct is that all of these games obviously are going to be on Game Pass, but they're all Play Anywhere games.
Yep.
They were very big to mention that up front, which is cool. So, because Doom is a game I will totally play on PC. So that's just where those games have always felt right to me. So, but Doom looks awesome. We got a write in, which I'm going to read real quick about the direct here. So let's see here. Byron from Starkville, Mississippi. Hi guys, given all the recent negativity surrounding the Xbox brand, what did you think about the developer direct? I think the show felt like a big hit. A new Ninja Gaiden, South of Midnight, Clair Obscur, and Doom the Dark Ages all hitting within the next few months. Really feel like they got a good grip on things. With this outline now, do you think it's possibly they might be pulling things around in 2025, or is it more of a too little too late situation? I don't think it's going to pull things around in terms of like, hey, people are going to go out and buy Xbox systems now or anything like that. But I do think that if all 3 of these games hit and they're all good and we get Fable at the end of the year,
Well,
we get this Ninja Gaiden and something else, I think it could be a sign of, hey, this is one of the best years they've had.
And I don't think it's too little, too late, because I don't think we're in too late territory yet. But so Indiana Jones came out, very good, excellent first step. You've got these
excellent first step.
3 of these next 4 games are coming out in the next 4 months. 2 of these have to, you know, and even if South of Midnight does not do well, as long as it is a critical success, I'm talking like 8s and above, then I consider it a hit. If all 3 of those games hit, we're doing something that we haven't done in years, which is
for Xbox, right?
Release games, and B, they're good, and these are games that are not called Forza, Gears of War, and Halo, right? Like the three that we have, and you know, not Flight Simulator and the other one-off things they own, but live in a different world.
Exactly.
This needs to be, I don't want to say start, because I think Indiana Jones and that last developer direct were kind of the start of it. This needs to be the continuation of what we're doing with these directs, where we're focusing on, we have these 4 games. We are heavily involved with these 4 games. These 4 games are on us. If they continue to do this and hit on these, then there is a way forward. And
I think that was the smart move here. Again, was, hey, here we're going to focus on these games that are out in the next couple months,
right? And
you can get away with having one of those announcements being the surprise. Hey, it's fall.
Sure. If it's a complete, if I've never heard of it before, it's allowed to come out in a year, we'll say, because who knows when that comes out.
And it's very possible that game could slip. It does seem like that game's further along, though.
It does, for sure. I mean, from what they showed, it looks like they have a shitload of it done. But these other 4 come out, and so this is how these directs should be. The last direct was good, but it wasn't great because it was Indiana Jones took a year. Avowed, still not out. Visions of Mana, showing that we have a relationship with Square again. Nice. And what was the other game? Was it South of Midnight again?
No, it wasn't a game that they repeated. So it might have been, now that I think about it, wasn't it that weird strategy game that came out on Game Pass? I can't think of the name of it, but it was like not a Civilization.
No, wasn't it Pentiment?
No, Pentiment's been a while.
That was the one before
Pentiment's been like 2 years, yeah. I want to say it's that weird Civilization type game, but it wasn't one that was like a big hit.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember what you're talking about.
Whereas, last one, Avowed was the last one, because remember that.
I think we talked about that strat game looked cool, but it probably wouldn't do anything.
No, and I think it got reviewed well, but again.
So that's an example of how this direct thing doesn't help you.
Yeah.
This one, I think, does. And going forward, this should be the plan. They should do this exact same thing again in E3 time. They should do 2 of these a year. Say every 6 months. Here's stuff with that has as of right now has release dates within the next 4 months. That's what they need to focus on, because they have to get shit out.
Especially last E3, they did the whole we're gonna blow the door open and show things in the future, which they did, obviously. And I think that was fine for them, but I think this year we need to focus on, hey, what's coming out at the end of this year, and then maybe show one thing that's in the future.
Sure. But
maybe this is now, I would say my argument now would be, this would be the time where at this E3, their one thing in the future is, hey, here's the first look at the remake of Halo Combat Evolved.
Sure.
We pretty much know they're making.
Right.
So at this point,
or if they have something concrete in the Fallout world or something, but Fallout is hot because of the show.
It is.
76 is a game now. There's room for them to be like the Fallout 4 remaster or 3 remaster, like we talk about all the time. So that's the one thing you can do, but they have to release games, dude. The fact that we're still is Avowed coming out? Like we joked about earlier, it's is it? It probably is, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like it probably hits its February date, because it just seems like we're now at the point, we're literally past we're at 3 weeks. So I would assume at this point that game either has gone gold or is about to, because it would be wild.
Can that game even afford to be delayed again?
The only reason I would delay it is, because like I said, inevitably they will patch that game to run at 60.
Of course.
I don't. It seems wild.
It can't be
not
Redfall
launching
again.
it. Yeah,
man, it just can't.
Well, I was even going to say Redfall. I was going to go with Starfield.
Oh, well, yeah.
Remember, Starfield launched at 30 on the consoles, and then 8 months later, hey, we did it. So, and I feel like Avowed, they'll do the same thing. So, I'm just going to play Avowed on PC, but it's wild to me. That is the only reason why I would see that game being delayed again, is if it's like, all right, guys, we're delaying it to, let's say, June, but we're putting that in. But I really don't think so. I think it's done. I think they're ready to launch it. The only thing that would make me skeptical is that it just seems for a game they were pushing and pushing and pushing for a long time until it got this delay. We're 3 weeks away from it. I feel like there's no buzz.
There's no marketing.
No one's talking about it.
We had a direct about it a year ago.
There's like no one is speaking about it.
Right.
It's really weird.
Those aren't good signs.
It's not a good sign.
But
so
to go back to this direct specifically, like this made me feel good about them.
yeah, no, this made me feel like, okay, some of these teams are actually like getting shit done and ready to put out.
And it's
so
4 interesting games.
Yeah. Everything like even South of Midnight, like right. I said, like it's not typically something I would really care about, but it's something I'll check out.
Right.
Because it's
I like
Game
the
Pass.
Art style of it, like for real.
I think
though,
the art style
really...
of it's cool. Like I said, it's I have to get over the stop motion part of it.
The puppety type shit.
Yeah, it's really jarring.
It's a little weird.
And I'll skip it ahead here, but I'll throw it in because it'll make sense. It's weird to me. We keep talking about like, yeah, they should. At the very least, we should put out a remake or a remaster of Fallout 3 because of how successful the show has been. But then all we hear about is this fucking Oblivion remake, which, like, I'm all for it.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. I will clear every fucking game off of my schedule to play an Oblivion remake. But I feel like it's the wrong game to be remaking at this time. And you should be working on a Fallout 3 remake instead.
Right, especially because, like, the path forward for Elder Scrolls is to just make 6, which God knows when. But
I don't think it's generation. I think it's another 2 E3 times before we see anything. But I mean, the rumor now is that it's being completely remade top bottom by Virtuos, which is kind of random. But again, like it just I'm not unopposed. Like I'm all for an Oblivion remake, some of my favorite games of all time. But it's just weird. It's a weird choice at this time.
It'll sell like crazy. It doesn't matter.
It will. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like as long as, and I would assume by remaking it, it'll be on everything.
It should be.
And again,
Switch
there's never been a good version of Oblivion on PlayStation. So
no,
because that version of the game's terrible. So it would be nice to have a good version over on PlayStation. So
and put it on, and you put that on Switch too, man. That sells a ton.
It'd be awesome. I would buy it on Switch too, just to have it be on the Nintendo system. Unfortunately, as we're playing this game right now, the team behind Godfall is no more. Has been disbanded. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I didn't think we'd be getting a Godfall 2. To be fair.
Oh no,
I really didn't.
Did it say that they're like disbanded? Or are they just getting absorbed into make Borderlands 4 content?
The way I read disbanded is they're getting absorbed into other teams at Gearbox. So I would assume
Borderlands 4 content.
Borderlands, yeah.
Unless
that would be my.
Is Brothers in Arms coming back?
I'd be
Hell's
into it.
Highway 2.
Hell's Highway 2. There you go. The next one, I'm going to read the email we got first about this. I'm sure you've seen a little bit of this rumor going around. I will get into the email first here, though. But Nick from Cleveland, Ohio. Hi, guys. Have you seen the article leaking the fact that the Xbox was almost ready to throw in the towel in 2021? It seems crazy at the time they were thinking about possibly bowing out of the console industry, considering at that time the Xbox Series X and S would have only been on the market for a year. I'm not sure if I buy that part of the rumor. However, the part that is more concrete and scary at the same time is that Microsoft wants 100 million Game Pass subscribers by 2030 to consider it a success. Considering it's 2025 and we are just over 30 million, according to the recently stitched together numbers, combined with the confirmation that Game Pass only moved the needle by 5% subscriber growth with the addition of Call of Duty, I just can't see them hitting that number by 2030. Really puts things in perspective and makes it seem like this last console they put out may be the final one for them. What do you all think? So yeah, there's been this article going around that the head CEO, not Phil Spencer, but Satya Nadella was ready to pull the towel in 2021. and basically gave the option of either shutting it down or more acquisitions, which obviously they went on to acquire Bethesda and then the ABK deal, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
The best way to put that. It went on way too long. Like that's what ruined that one. So, but that part of the rumor, I don't know if I believe that part of it because it just seems weird.
I believe that there were discussions held about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell. Like obviously they had to talk about this. But look, we've been struggling. We're clearly third place at that. Even at that point, we're clearly third place. And what does this mean going forward? I don't know I don't know if there's a world you pull the plug on it a year into the console release.
That seems
that's happened before. I mean, the Dreamcast
was
fucking died.
2 years, year and a half.
Sega was also in trouble. This is Microsoft, dude. Like
they're not in trouble.
No, they're not in trouble. Maybe the gaming division is, but not enough to pull it a year. Now, the thing is they do have a backup because they have PC gaming. Like so, even if the Xbox goes away, it still exists.
Yeah,
and they're still going to make these games. They're still going to release them on PC. But I will tell you that the least believable part about like this article and this thing going around, 100 million. There's no one in that fucking company who thinks they're going to get from 30 to 100 million in
by
5 years. There's no way.
Not possible.
I think that, but you have to remember that number was being thrown out in 2021, which would have been 9 years before 2030.
Even still, that's such a large.
You think that's too hard number at that point?
Of Game Pass subscribers? You barely sell consoles. Who the fuck is subscribing to Game Pass? Maybe that's a realistic number if they make this handheld thing we've been talking about and hearing about for years.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then it becomes, it's in my pocket and it's a Game Pass. Not in my pocket because it would have to be a fucking Steam Deck. But it would, but then it can go with me everywhere and everything is an Xbox.
Yeah.
Then yes, then I'm buying that and I'm buying the subscription to Game Pass because I'm not buying games for that.
Well, and that's realistically what that's why you're seeing the push now,
right?
From hey, play this on this console or PC to hey, this device can be used
right.
as an Xbox.
Because the thing is we're talking about. I mean, it's evident when you look at this direct thing they just had with like Ninja Gaiden. That's not PS5. Like all this stuff, it's fuck it. We're putting it on everything. We're putting it on Switch.
Yeah,
they're becoming a software company, kind of like Sega did. But they're still going to have their own thing you can play it on if you want to use our thing. But otherwise, you can use other things. But I think a Microsoft branded Steam Deck type thing is the smartest way to do it.
I do. And I really think that when we get to, I still stick with the 2026, timeline of the next console, but I think it's next console and handheld equivalent.
Yes.
And I think I would even I would maybe even throw out there that maybe E3 this year you see a little bit of what that handheld.
Well, because there's always the two SKUs, right? So
there
SKU 1 is your home box. SKU 2 is your portable box.
Yeah.
They're both digital only. They both have upgradable storage space. And one is for your TV and one is for you to take with you. I don't think it would be a dockable thing. I don't think they're going to waste their time.
I don't think they're going to
figuring
waste their time
out
with that either because they would want you. They want you to buy the
when
box
you could just buy the box and the box would just stream everything. There's no reason to do that way. The Switch is a different item. It does its own thing.
Yeah,
but is it a bad thing that Microsoft is pivoting more towards software? I don't think so. I think that's where we are now.
I think that's where it is now. And I think they realize, especially like I said, if the needle only moved for Game Pass 5% by adding Call of Duty, which I didn't put in the news here, but that was once again the number one selling game of 2024. So
sure.
They reclaimed the crown after that 1 year knockout by Harry Potter. Yeah.
Until Harry Potter 2 comes out.
But it's crazy. It only moved it that slightly, and that's the biggest game of the year.
It's the biggest game that's ever going to make a move.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one game that's even going to make.
And the argument I'd make too is like, okay, should they maybe have waited to put that on Game Pass because you're doing that in the middle of the console generation. Like nobody at this point that already has a PS5 is going to look at that and go, okay, well, I can buy Call of Duty again this year like I normally do, or I can go out and get this Xbox and then get Game Pass and then pay nothing for it. Like,
but that's
not going to happen.
That's why I think the game wanting a higher Game Pass number is silly, because then we're ignoring how many copies we sold on the most popular system.
Yeah,
we're still selling that game for $70 on the system that has the most versions of it out there.
And that's why that moving into publishing makes sense.
And when the Switch 2 comes out and we can make a version of that game for this too, then we're going to sell even more copies of it. So I don't think the number they look at can just strictly be 30 million, 35 million Game Pass subscribers, because that's not the point anymore.
It's not.
We're putting Starfield on the fucking Switch because, well, you know why?
Well,
to try to sell more copies.
The other game that was rated for Switch 2 is the Master Chief Collection.
Right, exactly. And we're putting that on other things. Why? To sell more copies.
Gives me hope that the dream is alive for that.
I think it is. And if that thing comes out on PS5, it's going to sell a ton.
It'll be the number one digital sold game for probably 2 months.
You're telling me they're going to put that on a system that has, you know, how many, like 5 times the install base that we have, and then we're going to put it on the hot new Nintendo handheld? Yeah, I think we're going to sell a few copies of Halo.
But even at the same time, like, also think about, there's nothing really like Halo. There's not really a Halo equivalent on PlayStation.
Not anymore, because Killzone's dead.
Yeah,
Resistance is dead.
Like, there's nothing like that on PlayStation 4.
No, Call of Duty's a different game.
Yeah.
And
even Grand Theft Auto 5 for the Nintendo Switch 2?
There you go.
They should. I think they easily could put GTA 5 on it.
I think they can. I think they will.
I think that'd be dope.
I just the Halo, it will dominate whenever it comes out.
Well,
it's going to dominate.
Like the Switch 2, the amount of stuff they could put on Switch 2 to just generate revenue is going to be crazy.
Oh yeah,
Fallout 4,
yeah.
Switch 2, like that Oblivion thing, that'll be on Switch 2.
I want to say I saw something about Fallout 4 on Switch 2 as well.
Easily do it,
kind of stuff.
And it's just more revenue. Like, that's why I think the Game Pass argument is dumb. Unless the true move, the big move, and I've talked about it before.
Oh,
we go talk to Nintendo. We say, look, what if we put Game Pass on Nintendo?
I was to say, do you think they ever try to open the door to have that conversation again?
I don't know. I don't think they do, because I think they're too protective of Game Pass and they wanted Game Pass on all.
I don't think they do for the reason that, why do that when you can just sell a copy of the game?
Well, there's that. But what then it comes down to, is it Game Pass numbers we care about, or is it sales?
But I think now it's sales of content,
right?
Is what I think it's pivoted to now.
But I also think it's also, if we're going to do our own handheld, we would never ever put Game Pass on the Switch.
No, I don't think
if we're not going to do that, then we should.
Yeah,
and then the caveat would just be, it's stream only.
I can see
no downloads.
Yeah.
I can see that,
because then that goes with your anything's an Xbox. Your fucking Switch 2's an Xbox.
You think about it, like, some of the infrastructure is already there. Like, when you play Minecraft on a Switch, you have to log into your Xbox account.
Yeah.
So
they've always had a decent relationship, because they know that they're not in on each other's stuff.
No, not at all.
And if Nintendo's going to let them put, because remember, Nintendo has to say, yes, you can put Master Chief Collection on our console.
Yeah.
Then Game Pass isn't that much of a leap if Nintendo gets a cut. That's the only thing that would be.
Yeah.
Every Game Pass sign up, you get X percentage. And Nintendo would just be like, so we get free money? Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Especially if it's just streaming through an app. It's free money. But
it's a wild article. It'll be interesting. It's gonna be a very interesting year to see what happens, like where things land, especially as we still inch closer to like GTA 6 and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting.